What is the controversy surrounding the picture of the Baal Shem Tov?
I don't know if there's a controversy. I just believe that it's not a picture of the Baal Shem Tov. I think it's Baal Shem in Michelstadt, it says. It's not the Baal Shem Tov. It's very, very simple. I think the Rabbi even writes about it. People attributed that photo with the Baal Shem Tov, with the Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, because it says on the photo that it's a picture of the Baal Shem. But there were other Jewish people who were called Baal Shem, just like in the line of the Baal Shem Tov himself. There was Rabbi Baal Shem, and there was Rabbi Baal Shem, and there was Adam Baal Shem, who all came before the Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. So there were other people who were called Baal Shem, and of course the meaning of a Baal Shem means a Makubal, a Kabbalist, and particularly a Kabbalist who followed the Kabbalah of the Arizal, as it's described and explained in the previous Rebbe's memoirs in the Sefer of Zachrenes, that one of the things that separated the Kabbalah of the Arizal from the Kabbalah of the Ramak was the use of Kabbalah Maisis. That means to write kameas, amulets, and other kinds of things for skulas, and Baal Shem practiced this. I don't know who this Baal Shem is, but it's understood and known that it's not the Baal Shem Tov, so I couldn't exactly call it a controversy. But let me just say one thing while we're talking about this. That the Rebbe has a sikha someplace where the Rebbe discusses the fact that the Baal Shem Tov, Rebbe Yisrael, Baal Shem Tov is called Baal Shem. Normally, when you call someone a Baal Shem, you mean the various names of the Eibishter that can be used for healing and for other purposes and so on. So the Rebbe has a ha'ara in a sikha, which somebody once showed me, where he says that the Baal Shem Tov was a Baal Shem of Shem Havaya. Not the names of the Eibishter, which correspond to the Sfiris and things like this, but Taketa Atzmas Musain Tzal Baruch Hu, the one name of the Eibishter, which explains why we know from the Baal Shem Tov that he used the name of the Eibishter on a level of Amunah Pshuta, like the Sidlaka of Degel Machne Ephraim brings on the Posuk Makli of Arte Yisayadin Azeh, that the Baal Shem Tov walked over a body of water, Be'emunah Levad B'li Shum Shem, because he's relating Taketa Hashem, but not one of the names of Giluyim, but the Shem Havaya, to the Eibishter's Shem Ha'etzim, the Eibishter's name himself. Additionally, it was important to the Baal Shem Tov to be called Rebbe Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, not to be called Baal Shem, but to be called Rebbe Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. And they tell a story, it's brought in Sfarim, that when the Rabbi Geshen Kitaver met the Chaim HaKodesh, and I might as well mention this incidentally, tangentially, that in the Siches of the Frierdiker Rebbe, this link between the Chaim HaKodesh and the Baal Shem Tov is never mentioned, ever. And I was always under the impression that there's no Chabad source for this link between the Baal Shem Tov and the Chaim HaKodesh. In non-Chabad sources, they make the Chaim HaKodesh almost as great or even greater than the Baal Shem Tov, which always bothered me. And I refuse to believe that it's true, particularly because there's no hint to it, literally no hint to it, in the previous Rebbe's writing and Siches. But the Rebbe brought it up many times. And the Rebbe said, even though the Frierdiker Rebbe never mentioned it, but Chassidim repeat it, and it's true, which is fantastic to me, that the Rebbe would bring up something that the Frierdiker Rebbe doesn't bring up, especially since it involves the idea of suggesting that there was a co-generationalist of the Baal Shem Tov who was equal to the Baal Shem Tov or greater than the Baal Shem Tov or what have you, and yet the Rebbe accepts these stories as true. You have to hear the tapes and listen to the Siches. And now you can start wondering why the Frierdiker Rebbe never mentions it, and the Rebbe mentions it so frequently. But the Rebbe holds that these stories that they tell about the Baal Shem Tov and the Chaim HaKodesh, at least the basis of them is emes. And one of the stories is that Rabbi Geshen Kitaver traveled to Eretz Yisrael, and he was hoping to join the Cheder of the Chaim HaKodesh. He was having a very hard time getting in. And he was having such a hard time that he was questioning maybe the Baal Shem Tov, his shwager, his brother-in-law, was not as great as he thought he was. And he finally managed to push his way into the little group, and he asked his Rebbe, Rebbe Chaim ben Eter, the Chaim HaKodesh, if he knows his brother-in-law. Of course, they physically never met. The stories go, and again, we're assuming now that these stories are true, that the Baal Shem Tov tried twice or three times to travel to Israel to meet the Chaim HaKodesh, and they never met, in fact. So when the Rabbi Geshen Kitaver asked the Chaim HaKodesh if he yet met the Baal Shem Tov, what he was really meaning to say is he knows him on the other side, Lamaila. So the Chaim HaKodesh said, what's his name? He said, Yisrael ben Eliezer. He says, I never met him. So Rabbi Geshen Kitaver was taken aback. He thought the Baal Shem Tov was such a big tzaddik, and the Chaim HaKodesh doesn't know him. So he says Yisrael ben Sareh. I never met him. Yisrael mitlust, doesn't know him. Until he said Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. And as soon as he said Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, the Chaim HaKadosh said, I see him every single day. The Baal Shem Tov's name is Yisrael Baal Shem Tov.